Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, it's Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 82 of Gridiron Grinder. We took our first ever week off last week. James, thank you for being flexible with me. I was out of town, but we're back at it, and we're going to keep plugging away. For tonight, we're going to start things off with Name That Stadium like we always do. Then we're going to do a recap of the news. It's really going to be of the past 2 weeks since we didn't do a show last week and there was a lot of noteworthy things that happened. After that, we'll do an update on our game picks and our playoff bet and talk about the conference championship games and what happened there. And then since we're sitting in Pro Bowl week waiting for the Super Bowl, we're going to do what we did at this time last year, which is we're going to do basically an early quarterback carousel where we just kind of speculate, who's in the market, what teams are trying to go after guys, who are the likely guys, what are some things that we should be watching for in the coming weeks and months. And so, and then lastly, we'll close things off with question of the week, which, James, I'll just tell you now, I think we're going to tie it into the quarterback carousel and it'll just be what do you think? Not what do you think, but what move do you want to see happen the most? And it can be whatever you want. And so, just kind of a fun way to close it off with everything we kind of spitball back and forth, and maybe we'll enlighten each other on a few things, and then we'll make our pick at the end. So, yeah. With all that being said, how's it going tonight, man?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. It's going good. A little bit bummed that we didn't do something last week. And, like I said, I appreciate you being flexible with me. It's been pretty cool that we kept this thing going 81 straight weeks up until last week. And hopefully we get back on that track. Um, and then hey, like we were talking, maybe we'll do a couple bio videos or some things like that we can use as fillers if something comes up again in the future, because I'm sure at some point one of us will get sick or something will happen. But either way, it's been good. It's been a nice run, and so we've got a lot of news and things to hit. So why don't we move over to Name That Stadium?
Well, we have to do 2 weeks of games recap because
Um,
we didn't touch any of the divisional games last week.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, no, yeah, I was thinking most of our weeks are always kind of looking forward into the weekend. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, we'll for the game picks for sure. Yeah, we got we got to look at all that. So,
Yeah,
all right.
but
Well,
so
yeah.
name that stadium.
All right.
Last week,
Yeah, go
last week,
ahead. Go ahead, James. Yeah.
last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, I was in Kansas City. I really thought going in that I was thinking that that matchup of Buffalo the Chiefs, whoever won that, was going to be the Super Bowl winner. And so I picked Arrowhead as the stadium because I figured that that basically was the Super Bowl. And then and then I kind of changed my mind after watching the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was wild, man. I mean, that was and I'll tell you what, I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but with exception to some of the wild card weekend stuff, this has probably been one of the best playoffs we've had.
Mm.
And so I am happy that the games have been that good and they've been that close. We talked about some of the wild card stuff. Is that just the new way it's going to be now that we got these extra teams, or is it just, this is just kind of how it's shaken out these couple times that it's happened so far. But honestly, the last couple weeks of games has been pretty awesome in my opinion.
Yeah, that has.
Okay, and so yeah, so you were out at Arrowhead, and let me just, I guess, let everybody know for those who are new to the show or haven't seen this part of the show before. Basically, James is out there traveling the country every week, frequent flyer, and he's got a new stadium in his background every week. Typically during the regular season and sometimes in playoffs, it's a stadium for a home team that's playing that weekend. And we're just asking if you think you know what it is, hit us up in our comments section. First person to get the right answer gets a shout out in next week's show. And so, yep, you were at Arrowhead, you had your inspiration. Good stuff, man. Okay, so let's move on. and let's do our recap of the past week, which is the past couple weeks. And so I'll just start off, kind of going back. It's old news now, but for anybody who's been living under a rock, we have some big retirements. Ben Roethlisberger officially hanging him up in Pittsburgh. Heck of a career, likely Hall of Fame guy. And then the bigger one, which has been this past week, which was kind of on and off and now on again. I think it was on the whole time. It's just that he wanted to control the narrative. It's Tom Brady retired, and that's a huge one. And so, honestly, had he not retired, Big Ben would have been a huge one, but totally overshadowed with Tom Brady retiring. And so, yeah, pretty wild, man. TB12 hanging him up. He got close to making one more run, dude, but it sounds like he's going off to do some family stuff and pursue some businesses outside of football.
Yeah, I kind of think like the news with it was it Schefter and I forget the other ESPN guy. It was Schefter and somebody else broke that Brady was
Rappaport, I think.
No, Rappaport's NFL Network, but
Oh,
it was anyways. And I think that was kind of just like a feeling they were getting with like what they were hearing. I honestly don't think Brady made up his decision until Monday night, Tuesday morning, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to retire. I just can't commit. Because
okay.
like you heard him talk, if you heard him talk, like because he has a show on Sirius XM, and if you listen to what he said during that, yeah, it sounded like he was leaning towards retirement. But just on Monday, he had said on his show on Sirius XM that he hadn't made his decision yet.
Okay.
And he's not gonna rush making his decision.
Yeah, and so one of the things that came out when he finally announced it, he had like some, I don't know, 9-page Instagram announcement or whatever. I'm not
Yes.
like social media savvy or whatever, but apparently he like thanked everybody and their mom and left out the Patriots and Belichick and the New England fan base. And, it sounds like that pissed off a lot of people. But I've also heard a lot of people come to his defense and say that he thanked them, profusely when he left New England and that
Hmm.
he didn't feel like he needed to do it again. And I don't know. Since then, I've heard he's signing the 1-day contract with them to retire with the Patriots. And so it's, I don't know if he wants there to be bad blood or what, but, everybody was reading into the picture he used on the Instagram post was the picture of him beating the Patriots this year when he was obviously in a Bucks uniform. And so it's, I don't know, man. Hey, I'm sure he wanted to beat them because he wants to win. He's a competitor. Um, does he have ill will towards them? I don't know, man. It seems like he had one hell of a run with them. You'd think he'd be pretty grateful for that experience, but yeah, I mean, he probably wanted to keep going a couple more years there. Who knows?
Yeah, well, that was the thing with the Patriots. The only reason he left was because they wouldn't give him that long-term contract. Belichick's like, we'll just give you another year,
Yeah,
make it another year. And he's like, no, I don't want another year. I want another couple of years. Let me finish out my career here and just give me a contract for a couple of years. I'm gonna play for at least 2 more years. Give me a 2-year contract. And I mean, Belichick thought he was over the hill, and obviously he was wrong.
he had one more year in him. Well, and I mean, this year was a great year too. It just, just because he didn't get the ring doesn't mean it wasn't a freaking awesome year. But,
Yeah, he
um,
if it wasn't for Rodgers this year, he would have been the MVP this year.
yeah, and I think it was, in my opinion, I'm glad he retired. It would have been interesting to see how he would have fared coming back one more year because you just wonder, like, how long can the guy keep going? It's been incredible he's gone this long, but I'm glad he did it now and that it wasn't like a Peyton Manning-esque comeback and his arm just falls off a cliff kind of thing. And, Peyton obviously got super lucky that team carried him to the Super Bowl, but, that's just an extremely rare situation that a quarterback could go in with with that kind of lack of a cannon and get it done. But I don't want to take it all away from Peyton. Obviously, he's a super smart guy and made up for some of that with some of his intelligence. But the team definitely helped carry that. But
Mm.
uh, I guess I like seeing the guy go out while he was still shining, instead of the wheels falling off and everybody being like, "Oh, what the fuck," and then it's like tarnishing the reputation because he hung on too long or whatever. I mean, I think it was a good way to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, by contrast, you have Roethlisberger, who hung on for a year, maybe two, too long before he retired.
Yeah, that's one of the examples. And I think that honestly, I'm a Big Ben supporter. I think if they could have gotten more around him, maybe it would have been fine, and there could have been a better sort of like segue out for him. Um, but it's tough. Roethlisberger, just a diehard guy, man. Like all the hits he took over all the years and everything like that. It's actually pretty incredible he made it this long with, didn't have some sort of career-ending injury with all the hits he's taken. But he's also a beast of a quarterback, big guy, and he was able to take those hits for a lot of years. But noticeably with his arm, his did regress, and he couldn't throw the deep ball very well this year. And so that's definitely one of them where it's like, hey, man, it's time to go. And so, good for him to not try to hang on and, maybe have it get really ugly next year. So, yeah.
Yeah, true.
All right. So, moving it on a little bit, we got some coaching news. Looks like Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator from the Green Bay Packers, he has now moved on to the Denver Broncos. Rumors have swirled like crazy about Aaron Rodgers possibly going there. I think the
Possibly.
team maybe has squashed that, and we'll talk about that. Apparently they're saying after their exit from the playoffs, they had supposedly a lengthy, abnormal meeting with Rodgers where they discussed the future, and it sounds like, I don't know. The rumors I'm reading are that they feel like he's coming back, and that he just wanted everybody to be on the same page with expectations of what they want and what he wants. And I'm sure it has something to do with hanging on to Devontae Adams and whatever else. But we'll talk about that when we get to the quarterback carousel. Other coach news: Brian DeBall, the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, now with the New York Giants. And Doug Peterson, hired by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like that. I like that hiring, by the way. Um, I heard Eric Bieniemy is interviewing with the Saints, and then Brian Flores, connected to this, is man. This one I did not expect. I thought he would have landed a job. Now he is suing the NFL and a certain number of the teams, claiming discrimination. And I mean, the league has the Rooney Rule. It could be doing better. I'm sure. I think we could all agree to that. That you know, I saw one of the stats, like the player composition is like 75%, or not 75%, like 70% minority or something. But there's only like one minority head coach active, right? Two. Thank you.
Ron
Um,
Rivera.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I was thinking of Tomlin, but yeah, good about Rivera. And so it's yeah, there's some disparity there. And so, but Flores has come out. He's suing, saying that he feels like his interview with the Broncos was a sham. He's got some text messages from Bill Belichick that it sounds like were sent to him inadvertently. That him interviewing with the Giants might have been a sham too, and just feels like things have been handled inappropriately. And then obviously he's going after the Dolphins. He's not happy about his exit there. And that one's wild because he's claiming that the Dolphins owner offered him like some kind of bounty if he would have lost games back in 2019, um, so that they could have gotten a better draft pick. And that you know it's pretty wild. And I heard Hugh Jackson came out and said something similar happened with him in Cleveland, and it's wild, man. It's wild. And I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I know Elway came out, tried to defend the interview that he had with Flores and said, hey, I had a flight the night before or whatever. And, Flores was saying that he was like visibly hungover or whatever. Elway's saying it's more like a jet lag thing or whatever. It's all everybody pointing fingers now. And um, I think most people are expecting in terms of Flores and his career, it is now taking sort of like that Colin Kaepernick sort of turn, which is that, it would be unlikely for him to get hired as a head coach with this going on. Um, it's just weird. That's the nature of how it goes. It's unfortunate because he did do a good job, I thought, and there were, you know, I mean, the season started awful, and he finished it incredibly strong. And I know that there was stuff talking about problems in the locker room and things like that, but he was getting results. And the Dolphins, just a couple of years ago were a train wreck of a team, man. And so I don't know. It sucks. I don't like it when this stuff happens, man.
Yeah, so I really think that there was an issue between Flores and Garrett because from what I've heard from the 2020 draft, that Flores wanted Herbert. Greer, the GM, wanted Tua.
Okay.
And the GM went with Tua, and Flores was upset about it. And, I honestly think Flores probably was talking a little bit of shit to the GM. This is, see, I told you I should have gotten Herbert. We should have gone with Herbert. And so it's just, I can understand that. The $100,000, apparently, I'm hearing there's a witness to that conversation.
Oh, shit.
And stuff like that, which is wild. That's just the craziest thing. And then you throw in Hugh Jackson, who says who completely unbelievable story, because Hugh Jackson was saying, well, I suck so bad, and they kept re-signing me. So and he just kind of like, and then he changed his story once the team kind of corrected it, and it's just like. But it's crazy to think that, especially with them getting in bed with sports gambling, that an owner would be paying. And apparently, in a number of years ago, Ross invested in a startup gambling,
Okay.
or startup sports book. So that's even crazier. But like, it's just like that. There's so many layers to this Flores story. I haven't actually read the actual text messages, but apparently the text messages from Bill Belichick is Belichick offering his opinion.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Belichick says he thinks he'll get the Giants job.
Yeah.
It's not an actual he'll get the job. The Giants are saying that they have proof that they were still debating the coach up until the evening of January 28th, which was the day after Flores' interview. And so it's just a wild story. And it kind of like, I understand like the point Flores is trying to make, something's got to change, but it's just like, is it really the right time for him to file this lawsuit? I'm not saying,
Yeah.
anytime, but
I hear you, man. I hear you. All right. So let's get off of it because, man, this is one that we're going to be probably talking about for a while. And this was a good, I think, way of laying out the foundation of what we've been hearing, and we'll see where it kind of goes from here. But moving on to other news, the Washington football team has picked a name, James. They are going
yes,
with the Washington Commanders. What do you think about that?
I fucking hate it. And they made a complete mistake with this, because think about it. How many teams that have 3-syllable names do you talk about without abbreviating it? Nationals, Nats.
Mm.
Metropolitans is the actual name of the New York Mets.
The commies, They're going to be the
It's
commies?
the Washington Commies.
No way, dude. No way. They can't be commie bastards, man. No way.
Yeah, it's.
What were you thinking it was going to be? Because didn't you have some rumor mill stuff on name
I
options? They
was.
were
I honestly thought it was going to be the Red Hawks.
okay.
That's what I was thinking, but
Man. And so, all right, and the Red Hawks, what is that like? Uh, you know, what's the significance of that?
it's it's like I-
Well, don't worry about it if you don't know. I didn't know if it was like some,
no,
you
there
know.
was I just can't remember it.
Okay. Well, I think it's good they got a name, you know. And well, I think it's already growing on me to be honest. And I think that's probably just because, at some point I got sick of calling them the Washington football team. But the Commanders, hey, I think it's a strong name and it's a safe name. I don't know. So hey, it is what it is, They're moving in that direction. Um, all right. So, other news wise, anything that you want to hit on here, James, before we go back and talk about some of these games?
There was something. There was something.
I'm sure there was. It's been 2 weeks. And so I know I missed a
You
few
missed a
things,
couple
but
coaching things.
okay.
McDaniels actually is a head coach now in the NFL.
Oh, shit. He did accept the Raiders job?
Except, and he was, and the Raiders announced it, and they had a press conference. I think so. Like, I swear that's what I heard. Or I had thought they had the press conference, which um uh because I thought that's what I heard.
All right. So, all right. As you were saying, Josh McDaniels actually committed to the Raiders and they've announced it. And
Yeah,
it doesn't look like he's backing out like he did a squirrely deal with the Colts a couple years ago.
yeah, they had a full press conference and everything with him. Apparently, during his interview, he told Mark Davis that you remember the tuck rule game?
Yeah.
Apparently, he told Mark Davis that Brady fumbled the ball.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, something like
uh,
that. It was some joke Mark Davis made in the in the press conference. But yeah, they had a full press conference on it. It's official. He's their head coach, and unless he like decides tomorrow he doesn't want to be. Actually, it'll be after the Super Bowl, so it'll be next week. He decides he doesn't want to be, and then you had Harbaugh interviewed with the Vikings, then decided he's going back to Michigan.
oh, yeah. And so did the Vikings commit to Kevin O'Connell, or is that still to be determined?
It's still to be determined because I basically it is going to be it's going to be his job, but they want to wait till after the Super Bowl, is from what I'm hearing.
Okay.
They don't want to have the Josh McDaniels moment.
Uh, gotcha. Yeah, I
Is
was
that
not I was not really thrilled when I saw Harbaugh interviewing with them. I thought, man, don't go there. But, I remember the shit with him and Schwartz, and it's like I don't want to be dealing with him twice a year.
I actually I heard the story behind that
Okay.
and what that was all about. Apparently, at like a rules meeting or something, when Harbaugh got the job with San Francisco, Schwartz was talking a lot of shit to Harbaugh about how it's going to be a rough season for him and this and that, and they talked a lot of shit to him, and then he went like, what was he? He made the playoffs, I think, his first year, and his first year as coach of San Francisco. So that was what was behind it. Was
Oh,
Schwartz talked a lot of shit in some meeting,
okay.
and
And so
how
he
it's going to
felt
be a
like he
rough
was going to
go
give
of
it
it.
back to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that was all about. Which I don't even know why I heard that this week. It was on somebody on Sports Talk Radio was talking about it.
Okay. Yeah, hey, it's all good. All right, so anything else news-wise, or you want to talk about how you smoked me on the game picks?
I think that was about it news-wise. I just want to glance see. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. All right. Well, looking at the game picks, so I'll let you just take the ball and run with it here. I made it interesting up until the conference championship games, and then I just disappeared. So why don't you just take it and do what you will with it here, James. Congratulations to you, my friend.
So basically, after the divisional round, we were separated by 1 point. It was close, and we both picked the opposite teams for the championship round. And I picked Cincinnati, and I picked LA. LA was the obvious one that I was going to pick because
Yeah.
if you remember the beginning of the season, I said LA was going to win the Super Bowl, and I've been talking about since for one full year. I've been talking about how LA was going to win the Super Bowl. Once that trade happened, I said that's a Super Bowl winning trade. Rams are going to win the Super Bowl next year. They're going to be the second team to host the Super Bowl in their home stadium. And sure enough, it's happened. So there's no way I was going to go against that on it. I did struggle with it because of the whole McVay's lost all six. Had previous to that had lost all 6 games he played against Shanahan.
Hmm.
But and then I went with Cincinnati, and the reason I ultimately went with Cincinnati is because something looked off with Kansas City in that Buffalo game the previous week. Yeah, it was overtime. Yeah, it was this, and it just it was kind of like a gut instinct thing that hey, Cincinnati beat Kansas City in the regular season, even though Buffalo did the same thing, but it just something stuck out that Kansas City was going to win the game. You went obviously with the Niners and Kansas City, and so I got both my picks right. I win another playoff with getting 3 picks wrong total. I this week I swept this year I swept the wild card round. I got all 3 picks of mine wrong in the divisional round, which fucking awesome games that
Yeah.
week.
Oh yeah.
No. I got 2 picks wrong that in the divisional rounds because I picked Kansas City, Green Bay, the Rams, and the Bills.
Okay.
So I only got 2 wrong.
Yeah. So we started off. I was down, and then I closed the gap, and then just like that, I'm out of it before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but hey, you lasted an extra round this year. Last year,
Yeah.
you were done in the divisional round.
Yeah. Hey, it's all good, man. It's all good. I got the regular season. You got the playoffs. Let's see if we can keep that trend going next year. We've established it back to back. Let's see if we go for the three-peat.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So, yeah, anything with the conference championship games specifically that you want to hit on, or you feel like we're good to move over to our quarterback carousel?
Well, I want to go to the divisional round games first,
Oh, sure.
and
Yeah, yeah. Go
I
ahead.
want to say that was one hell of a weekend of football. I mean, it's one of the best weekends of sports all year, but to have 3 of the 4 games decided by the road team kicking a field goal as time expired to win the goddamn game. It's amazing. I
Yeah.
I will say about Buffalo is if you have 13 seconds left and you're going against Patrick Mahomes, squib kick the fucking ball.
Yeah.
And also if a team has 3 timeouts, you don't have to protect the goddamn sideline because they can just call a timeout.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah.
that just pissed me off. It's like, and what's this not playing defense in overtime?
Yeah, and I mean, if we're going to go back, I mean, we can hit on the Titans, obviously, with Tannehill. That was just a disaster. I mean, that team, run wise, defensive wise, they did everything they needed to, and the quarterback play ended up biting them there, and that could have stopped the Bengals' run right there, but it didn't, and that'll, I think, play into our quarterback carousel a little bit because I'm hearing a lot of rumors about them being obviously unhappy with Tannehill and wanting to make a move there. So,
Yeah, and then you have the 49ers and Packers game and fucking special teams.
oh geez, yeah, that was a disaster.
It's like, I mean, good. I mean, the Packers were smart and fired their special teams coach because their special teams sucked all year.
Yeah,
But basically, they lost that game because of their special teams. You don't have that blocked punt for a touchdown. Green Bay is going to win the game.
yep, yeah, and then all right, so the Rams game, it's a little foggy now in my head, but they were up big early, right? And then Tampa Bay came back and made it interesting, but they ended up closing it off at the end.
They were up 27-3. Lucky for the Rams, they didn't go for two and make it 28-3 because we all know what happens with Brady in 28-3. But then the Bucks came back and tied the game up and gave Stafford 42 seconds. And Stafford was able to drive the field, get in the
He
field goal
fucking
range.
did it, that son of a bitch, man.
He did, and they got the field goal with as time expired again. So that was because I kind of like I had earlier this week when I was talking to the wife about it, I had confused the games. I thought the last second field goal was the 49er game, not the Tampa Bay game. But it was just 20 up 27-3. Then they come up and then they forgot to play football for like a quarter and a half, and then scored because they didn't score at all. Like Tampa Bay scored they were 27-3. Tampa Bay scored the next 24 points.
Yeah.
And the Rams won it with that last second field goal.
Man, yeah, almost classic Brady. And then yeah, and then the Chiefs and Bills. That was obviously like a wild shootout, like almost all at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And frickin' Gabriel Davis just 4 TDs out of nowhere and 200 and something reception yards. That was wild, man.
Yeah, and to lose that game, if I remember correctly, that was a NFL playoff game record with 4 touchdowns in a single game.
Yeah, I believe so. I'd be hard pressed if it wasn't.
I think the previous was 3. And like a bunch of people had done 3, but to get fucking four touchdowns that was nuts. And that was just so back and forth. I want to say the last like 2 minutes of the game, 25 points were scored.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Chiefs' drives were just like, 10-second scores basically.
Mm-hmm. Was it? I want to look it up because it was some ridiculous. It was like, oh, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown,
Yeah.
touchdown. So yeah, from 154 when Buffalo scored with a little bit under 2 minutes left in the game to make it 29-26. So that's what, and they went for 2. So that's 8, and then 15, 22, 25 points scored in the last 2 minutes.
It's wild.
And then obviously Buffalo forgot how to play defense in the overtime, but
Yeah. So yeah, great divisional round. Let's do the conference championships, man. Give me your notes there.
All right, conference championship games. So let's start with the Chiefs Bengals game. I just have to take a look and refresh. That was another. It was Joe Burrow went round and round with Mahomes because that was what, like, it was 27
Oh, it
24.
was
Okay.
yeah, it was like 21-3 or something at halftime, or the
Yeah,
Chiefs
they
were up
they were.
big time. Yeah.
It was 21-10 at halftime.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Yeah. So it was 21-3, and then they scored before halftime to close it a little bit. Yeah, that's right.
no, oh yeah. They did. It was like, and the turning point of that game was with 5 seconds left. Um, Chiefs got really fucking cocky and decided to throw it to Tyreek Hill out in the flat, and Eli Apple fucking smoked him and stopped him, and that was the huge turning point in the game. Where
Gotcha.
once that happened, I was like, oh, the Bengals are gonna come back, because, like, why the fuck are you trying to go for the
Yeah,
touchdown?
just take the
Take the
points.
field goal,
Yeah.
take the points, go into halftime. Yeah, maybe, and it was, I blame Mahomes because first of all, he shouldn't have thrown. If any throw in that situation should be in the end zone.
Yep.
Throw it in the end zone, throw it away, get out there, go to field goal, get the field goal. Because if you throw it in the flat, he's tackling the field. Time's going to run out. You don't have time to spike the ball. I kind of blame Andy Reid a little bit because earlier in the half he called a timeout before throwing a challenge flag,
Okay.
and so that's where they lost their last timeout, or they lost the timeout, so that's why they didn't have a timeout then. Because, like, if you're gonna throw the challenge flag, just throw the challenge flag.
Yeah.
Because he was right. He got the challenge correct, and he won the challenge, but he still lost the timeout because he called it before throwing the flag.
Hmm.
And then, I mean, it was a little. I was just crazy. The Bengals actually played defense in fucking over. Imagine that. You can play defense in overtime.
Yeah. If you want to.
Yeah, it basically all these calls for, oh, you have to change the NFL overtime rules because look, Josh Allen didn't get to touch the ball. Da, da, da. Well, there's three phases of the game. If your defense doesn't stand up, you don't deserve to get a chance for your offense. If your defense can't get the job done, your offense doesn't deserve a chance.
It's a valid argument.
And then McPherson, the kicker, mad props to him.
Oh yeah.
Mad props to him because if I remember, I'm gonna. Yeah, he's been clutch just in the playoffs. He's had 2, 4. So he had the game-winning field goal against Tennessee as time expired. Then against
He had a
Kansas City.
shitload of them against the Raiders.
Yeah, he had 4 field goals against the Raiders. Game-winning field goal against Tennessee, and then I believe
Yeah,
I'm
this was a
trying.
game
I'm
winner.
trying. Yeah, no, this was a game winner, but I'm trying to remember if the what I was trying to remember is who scored last in regulation. I think it
Oh,
was
gotcha.
Cincinnati.
To take it to overtime, I gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, I think it was Cincinnati that scored last. I have to double check. Nope, I had it reversed.
Okay.
So he kicked the field goal with, or they kicked the field goal at, like, okay, the 6 minute mark, and that took the lead. But then Cincinnati or Kansas City got the ball back and kicked a field goal as time expired.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean it was an impressive game, dude. And I hope they can compete with the Rams because I think on paper, that Rams roster is just fucking dominant. But,
Yeah,
the
and
Chiefs are pretty dominant too. So, you know, you never know.
yeah, and So he has eight. He has like 12 field goals or 10 or 11 field goals in these playoffs alone.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, man.
And I mean, it's just, and he's a rookie.
Yeah, yeah, lighten it up, dude. All right, so then, moving over to the Rams 49ers. Obviously, Tart dropped that could have been,
Sorry,
game-winning pick.
12 field goals.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Um, you know, and that was a heartbreaker for the 49ers. And, obviously my pick there, I was nervous that the luck would run out. And, but I knew you'd be taking the Rams, so I wanted us to have some action. And, um, man, I'm surprised the 49ers were able to keep it that close. I mean, honestly, I thought one of these run-ins, I gotta believe McVay's just gonna beat him down. But it just, Shanahan, he knows how to at least keep it close. So
But that's another one where or the Rams were down, man, not as big. It was 17-10 or 17-7 in the third at the end of the third quarter going into the fourth quarter, and
yep,
then the Rams scored the next 13 points with the clutch, oh Jesus Jimmy moment, or why are you throwing that ball, interception.
yeah, yeah,
And that's what I was saying all year. I was saying going into the season that, like, if they drafted Mac Jones, the 49ers would have gone to the Super Bowl. The 49ers would have won this game if they had just adequate quarterback play.
yeah.
They didn't
Anything
have a
decent.
quarterback that was making those, oh, what the hell did you just do plays that Jimmy did. And there was the other thing with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes almost fucking fumbled the game away late
Uh,
when
well,
they were trying to milk the clock to score with no time left on the clock, so they didn't have to give the ball back to right before the field goal. Patrick Mahomes fumbled the ball, and luckily Thuney was able to jump on it. Otherwise, he fumbles that away and it's a turnover. That game's over.
yep, yep. All right. Well, hey, we'll next week we'll get to do our preview for the Super Bowl, do our picks for there. We'll make our picks even though it doesn't affect the bet at this point, but still fun to talk it out and do all that kind of fun stuff. Um, let's do
If
our quarterback
if you've been
carousel.
paying attention to me for the last year, sorry, you know who I'm picking.
Oh yeah, no, obviously, yeah, no, but we still gotta, we gotta analyze the game.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, we got to get into it, talk about Cooper Cup and, all the, Eric Weddle retiring once the game's over and, how I feel about that. But, yeah, let's do our quarterback carousel, man. And so, you know, I was looking at it earlier, just going down the list of all the teams. And basically, I did an alphabetical, you know, what's the team, who's their quarterback, are they likely or unlikely to make a change, and why? And, there's teams like the Cardinals, obviously, right off the bat with Kyler Murray, highly unlikely. They're pretty happy with that guy. So nothing's changing there. But then there's, a team like the Carolina Panthers where, they tried doing their little Sam Darnold, Cam Newton experiment and it didn't work. They did Teddy Bridgewater the year before. That didn't work. They're kind of getting into desperation mode with Matt Rule. And so I think they're highly likely to be in the trade market. I don't think that they're going to be going after somebody in the draft because time is not on the side of this regime. If they would have gone after somebody in the draft last year, that would have made sense. But they're now going into another year, and these guys don't get infinite chances. And so I've got them as a team to watch out for. The Cleveland Browns, I'm just going alphabetical. I put them as a maybe, James, because we know that they're not totally thrilled with Baker Mayfield, but both sides are basically saying they're going to find a way to make it happen. I think they'd be hard pressed to pull off a trade, and that more than likely their best bet's going to be, either bringing in a guy for competition, but not like necessarily a guaranteed starter level kind of guy, or they're going to have to draft a guy to put fire under Mayfield. Um, the Packers, we're going to talk about them for sure. I put them as a maybe. I'm not sure what's going on with Rodgers now after this supposed team meeting that they had. The Houston Texans I've got as a maybe. I'm expecting them to give Davis Mills a shot after how he closed out the year, but we'll talk about that. I got the Colts as a maybe. We know that there were some comments about them, maybe wanting to get rid of Wentz or whatever, but I think they'll give him some forgiveness because let's not forget it was his first year there and basically had no offseason with the team. Um, then I got the Raiders is a maybe. I think they're going to stick with Carr ultimately, but there's been talk. No, okay, so we'll talk about that one. After that, we got the Dolphins. They're a maybe. I think they'll stick with Tua, even though they've been talking about Watson and whatever all this time. But and then after that, I've got the Giants is a maybe with Daniel Jones. Pittsburgh, I've got them as a maybe. We know Ben's out. Are they going to see what happens with Rudolph and Haskins, or are they going to be in the trade market? They might be in the trade market. And then we've got, the Seahawks are maybe with Russell Wilson. I think the Buccaneers with Brady leaving, they're a maybe in the trade market now. Tennessee Titans, we talked about them with Tannehill, they're a maybe. And then the Washington Commanders, sorry, James. I think they're a maybe. And, all of these teams, slightly different reasons. I think Washington, Ron Rivera, I think wants a veteran guy. I don't know that he wants to go and draft a quarterback and, kind of take a free pass year here if they would even give it to him. Similarly, Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay. I know they got Trask that they drafted last year. I'm just not sure that I see Arians really committing to that for a season. I think that he would rather get a proven guy that they can win games with now and maybe hand it over to Trask another year or two down the road. But I don't know. And so, those were just some of the teams, some of the players that are obviously on this carousel. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, maybe Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson for sure. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to have a suitor. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a for sure. Tannehill is a maybe now. Wentz is a maybe. Carr, you think is going to happen. Mayfield's a maybe. And then we know Jameis Winston's also kind of hanging out there, sort of lower on the list. But let's talk about it, man. Where do you want to start?
All right, so I'm going to start with I have 12 teams that can just be marked off the list as not going into the key quarterback market.
Okay.
The Cardinals, the Ravens, Bills, Bears, Bengals, Cowboys, Jaguars, Chiefs, Chargers, Rams, Patriots, Jets. Those are all straight now. So that leaves 20 teams.
Yes. And not to like cut you off here, but so it would probably just help to clarify the other teams that I didn't talk about. It's because I'm expecting them that they would do something draft wise. And so like the Lions, for example, I don't see them trading Goff or trading to bring a guy in. I think they're more than likely going to stick with Goff and maybe draft a guy or just stick with the status quo and draft a guy next year. But so I didn't put them in the maybe category, but I just wanted to float that out there in case you're wondering. Like with the Falcons, I know that Matt Ryan's getting a little bit long in the tooth, but I think they're committed to him. And I think that it's a matter of, maybe next year they reevaluate. I just don't see them getting aggressive and going after like Deshaun Watson or anything like that. And so there were a handful of teams I intentionally kept out of the mix here on my side.
Okay. So Carolina, I see them as maybe going into the market, and I see your point, but I kind of think ultimately nobody's going to want to go to Carolina.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man.
Like, it's like if you look at it, like, I could see Carolina in on trying to get Garoppolo. I can see Carolina trying to get, because Garoppolo's definitely out in San Francisco.
Yep.
I can try to see them getting on, try to trade for Russ. I could see them trying to trade for Rodgers. Like I could see them
Yeah.
trying to make the deal, trying to trade for a guy, trying to get, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think for them, it's the big name guys aren't going to want to go there.
Hmm.
And I think that the one big name guy that could go there would be Watson because they've been in those discussions, but they'd have to give up a shit ton to get him. And I'm not totally sold that their owner wants a guy like Watson with that kind of controversy. And so, if that's not the answer, maybe Garoppolo, even though I'm hearing a lot of other teams maybe for him. Or they're hoping that a guy like Derek Carr falls out of the mix, or maybe Tannehill falls out of the mix, and they get one of those guys as sort of like the second tier of available options. I think their worst case scenario is they probably go after a guy like Jameis Winston. But, um, you know, I don't really see it working out well for Carolina. I think that whoever they end up getting, Matt Rule's going to have to milk something out of him that he didn't get these last 2 years with Bridgewater, Darnold or Cam Newton. And so, just my thought.
Yeah. So I think the thing with Carolina is ultimately they're going to have to draft a guy
Yeah.
because they're not going to get in. Like they're going to try to get in on all these.
Yeah. So
All,
what
all
do you
these.
think they get some kind of veteran for a year? Maybe they sign a guy like Jameis Winston for a year, and then they hope that like halfway through they can turn it over to the rookie, and maybe the rookie closes it out strong. So they're like, hey, look, we can lead this guy into the future, and because otherwise, I don't know, man. If they don't have a playoff year this next year, I gotta believe they're flipping that regime, man.
Yeah, I see, but I don't like. I don't see Jameis going to Carolina. Like okay, if Jameis doesn't re-sign with New Orleans, I see him getting somewhere outside of the NFC South.
Yeah, I mean, he could be making his world tour. It
Yeah,
would just leave Atlanta. It'd be perfect. He goes Carolina next year. Matt Ryan retires. He goes to Atlanta. Bing, bang, boom. He hit them all.
true. But I see him either going to the Saints, back to the Saints, or Pittsburgh.
Okay, that'd be an
Like
interesting spot for
I,
Jameis.
I think those are about his two options. I don't think he would go to Carolina,
Gotcha.
especially since Pittsburgh this year was a quarterback away from being a legitimate or Super Bowl contender. If
Yeah,
they
I
had a
know, but
quarterback, they
Jameis
would.
he's a turnover machine, man. So I don't know, but I hear what you're saying.
Right, I'm not saying that. I'm talking from Jameis's perspective.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be more
He does
appealing. It'd be more appealing.
It'd be
Yeah,
more appealing for him. So like I think ultimately Carolina probably they draft a guy, maybe Pickett, like because they are like one of the top teams that need a quarterback. That definitely need a quarterback. I think it's just a shame like they traded for Darnold, and I mean they just have fucked up the quarterback position.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about Green Bay, man. What are you hearing with that, with Rodgers and all that stuff? Because that's obviously the biggest domino that could fall.
He done.
You think he's out?
He's out.
So what do you think, Denver?
Denver.
I mean, that's
I've
that's
been
the
saying
the
I've been
match made in
saying
heaven.
Denver for 9 months.
With Hackett now getting hired as their head
Exactly.
coach.
Exactly. That move is to get Aaron Rodgers. The Denver team is another team that was a quarterback away from being a legitimate contender in the AFC. And well, the quarterback and a coach.
So what do you think that final meeting was? Him saying goodbye, or I looked at it as him probably saying, "Look, guys, we're so close. If you want me to stay, here's my demands." You know?
So
You're hanging on to Devontae Adams. You're doing this. You're doing that. And if you can't agree to that, then I'm walking.
so it's not just hanging on to Devontae Adams. Devontae does not want to be franchise tag.
Hmm.
It's working out a contract with Devontae and also being under the cap. And I think it's just too much. I put the pecking order as Denver, retirement, Green Bay.
Okay. Yeah. So you think he's out for sure? It's yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I I,
Yeah.
I
And
just
that that
can't
that
see.
changes the board a lot depending on what happens with him, and that's why it's probably it would have been better to start there. But I hit Carolina because they were alphabetical in my list. So
I hate Carolina because I thought that was an easy one to eliminate as
yeah.
being in the market because of just the situation behind Carolina and what's going on down there. It's a complete rebuild. They're not unless they get uh, Watson.
All right.
It's
So
but
so let's do this. So we started with Rodgers. Let's talk about Russell Wilson because he's the next big name guy. What do you think's going to happen with him? Is he going to make amends in Seattle, or do you think he's out?
this is a tricky one for me. This is a
Well,
like
why?
it's
Yeah, go ahead.
for for him. I can see a lot of teams trying to get get him. Does have a no trade clause, which is which will hinder a lot of these teams, and then that's why Carolina theoretically could offer Seattle Christian McCaffrey, and they still would, and Russ would say no, I'm not going to Carolina.
Yep.
The Browns,
Yeah, it's just not
it's
going
like
to happen. Yeah.
there's
Well, so let me float one
it's
by you
the
because
The Raiders and the Saints are the ones I'm debating. Uh,
all right. So I don't have the Saints on my team list because I just think their salary cap situation's so bad. I don't see them landing a guy like Russell Wilson. But crazier things have happened.
mhm.
The Raiders I think is interesting. The one that I thought about that I don't think is that far of a stretch. You just got to get creative with mixing in some picks or whatever else. But I thought you'd do a quarterback swap with Tennessee and you take a couple of their picks. Um, and I think that if you're Russell Wilson, you're landing on a Super Bowl contender if you go to a team like Tennessee. And you know you're going to have good receiving weapons. You got a great running back, a good offensive line. They have a good defense. I mean, you got the right coach. I just wonder, is that a big enough market for what he wants in terms of his like celebrity status? Because I got to believe with him that's going to factor into the location. But I think it also restricts things. So it's tricky.
So the thing with Tannehill, I would agree with you, except for what I've heard Vrabel say about Tannehill.
Okay.
And I was looking to, I don't have the direct quote, so I kind of glanced to see if I could find it, but it was more or less that he has the necessary tools to lead the team and is a major reason for the franchise's turnaround.
I believe that. And I hope they stick with him. And, I think that maybe some of it's just sore right after losing. And so people are pointing fingers at him. I just kind of thought, hey, that would be an upgrade for them. It puts them into the Super Bowl talk for sure. And then I thought for Seattle, they get Tannehill, which could play well to Pete Carroll's run first style. We know that Russell Wilson wants to be passing the ball like crazy. Um, and that wouldn't really, in Tennessee that would have to find some balance. But in Seattle, they could say, okay, Tannehill, we're going to tone you down on how much you pass because we want to ground and pound. But he's a capable guy in limited work. And so it was just a thought, just a thought.
But I think if hypothetically Seattle were to trade for Tannehill,
You think Pete Carroll says, "I'm done, time to go"?
it's not that I'm done, but it just what doesn't make sense about me is because you're going to have a little bit of a dead cap hit with Russ,
Oh yeah,
and then you're going to be paying nearly $40 million cap hit for Tannehill. He's due like $38 million this year.
oh man, that's insane. Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
I have the number. Hold on. I have Russ at the top and Tannehill at the bottom of my notes, so I apologize.
No, it's all good.
Oh, it's $38.6 million cap hit.
Jeez, that's insane for Tannehill. Must have just been a backloaded deal.
Yeah, I want to look that up because that can't. That's weird. That's really weird.
All right, so while you're looking that up, I think, we want to probably next, we'll go to our next big name, which is Deshaun Watson. And so, just in the back of your mind, do a little bit of multitasking with your brain here as you're looking. And, I want to hear your thoughts on Deshaun Watson. There's no rhyme or reason for this, James. This is just pure me throwing out a wild ass idea was that if it's not Carolina and it's not Miami, I thought, what if the New York Giants? And I thought that because Watson has made it known that he wants to be in a big market. And that was like one of the appeals of Miami potentially. And so maybe New York is that kind of market that he would agree to go to. They've got a new coach. Their team they're a squirrely kind of organization. Maybe they feel like they're sick of getting their asses kicked every year and they're about to make a big move. I don't know. I have nothing to back that up. This is just me throwing out a wild ass idea. I just look at like the list of teams and I'm like, man, I just don't know where Watson could go, to be honest. And so, but yeah. So what'd you find on Tannehill?
All right. So his salary for the year would be $29 million. That's how much Seattle would have to pay him. His dead cap to Tennessee, if they traded him, would be nearly $60 million.
Oh yeah, so he's not going anywhere.
It's 57.4.
Gotcha. Yeah, the cap is obviously a factor.
Yeah.
They're committed to Tannehill. All right, so what do you think about Watson?
The thing with Watson is ultimately I see him ending up in Miami.
Okay.
Um,
Just
I
after this year?
I don't know when. I think the deal was in place, but they kind of had problems with getting. Miami wanted certain things done prior to pulling the trigger, and Watson wasn't able to do it. I hear one of the people one of them was settle the lawsuits.
Yeah.
Just settle it. And he tried to, but one of the accusers wouldn't settle, or a couple of the accusers wouldn't settle, so it kind of broke down the deal.
Okay. All right, so yeah, you think he gets there? It's just a matter of time now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's move on because I don't really have any other place to put him, to be honest. You're hearing stuff about Derek Carr with the Raiders. Tell me about that, man.
So I've been reading a lot and hearing a lot that, all right, for starters, when the Raiders announced the press conference for McDaniels being the coach, a glaring absence from that press conference was Derek Carr.
Oh, yeah.
A very glaring absence. Like some Raiders were there, not all of them, obviously, but they were There's just something there. Yeah,
Okay. And
there's
so
just
if
something
he,
there.
so what do you think the Raiders would be doing? Because you think Russell Wilson's an option for them?
I think Russell Wilson's an option for them. I see them possibly trading for Russell Wilson, and I
You
don't
think
know
maybe
if
Rodgers is an outside shot? I know there was talk about him going
no,
there last year.
no, I don't.
Okay.
The reason I don't is because I don't think I don't think McDaniel's style meshes with Rodgers' style.
Okay.
Like if you look at the Patriots, and it could be just part of Belichick's style, but like the Patriots, like their offense is buttoned up and they don't have that much of a gunslinger mentality. They don't, or wild man, like make huge plays like that. And they're kind of like, okay, the receiver runs 5.2 yards, a 5.2 yard out, and you hit him as he's making the cut.
Yeah.
Not literally, but just watching McDaniel's offense in New England, it's really like crisp and clean, and Rodgers can't thrive in that type of situation.
Okay. See, I don't see Russ fitting that either, though.
I didn't say Russ fitting it,
Okay.
fitting it. I think Russ wants to go to the Raiders,
Okay.
so I don't think Rodgers wants to go to the Raiders.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's just I think Rodgers. The thing with Denver is Rodgers' fiance is from Denver actually.
Okay.
Rodgers' fiance lives in Denver currently. Like there's all these other things outside of
Some
the offense
personal.
that tells me
Yeah.
that it's going to be Denver retirement or Green Bay. It's more of a personal thing with Rodgers. I just think I think Russ wants to go to the Raiders because he sees some of the weapons that they're like they have an actual running back that can run the ball.
Yep.
They've tried to address and they continually are addressing the offensive line there. It's just I see more of a fit with Russ in the Raiders. I don't know if Seattle actually pulls the trigger and makes a trade.
Yeah. I think it's such a unlikely thing. It's rare that big name guys move like that, but it would be wild if it happened, man. All right, so the one that we know is going to happen is Jimmy G. And so what do you think's going to go on with him? I've heard people talking about maybe Pittsburgh, maybe Washington. I've heard him linked to Miami potentially, which I don't know. I, when I look at the options for Jimmy G, I don't really like his market, man. I think it's like maybe Washington, but I don't know. Like I'm not even digging that. And so um, maybe Houston to go with Davis Mills and give him an option, but even then I like so much that I saw from Davis Mills that I'm like, don't taint that. Let it run, And so um, I don't know, man. What are you thinking for Jimmy G? Tampa Bay?
Yes.
I mean, Tampa Bay maybe satisfies Bruce Arians of, okay, I got a veteran guy. I'll give it another year and see what happens.
I think Kyle Trask. I think you need that bridge quarterback, and I believe Garoppolo.
I think this is the last year coming
I
up.
believe it is too. That's what I was. How do you spell Garoppolo?
Garoppolo.
I I think this is the last year. I want to verify, but I think he could be that bridge quarterback.
Okay.
Yes, it is the last year of of his contract, and I mean this is the perfect year for San Francisco to get rid of him. I personally thought that even if San Francisco won the Super Bowl this year, that Jimmy G was done in San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, they moved up to get Lance. It's hard Hard to hang
Yeah.
on to Jimmy G unless he just like Supermaned it through the playoffs, which he did not. So yeah. Okay, Tampa Bay, I like that move. Okay. Any other options for Jimmy G?
I could see I could see the Commanders making a move for him. Um, are trying to get in on the conversation for him.
Okay.
So, but I just don't think. I think he ends up. I think he actually ends up in Tampa Bay as that bridge quarterback.
I gotcha. Well, the last guy I had on my list was talking about Carson Wentz, and I don't know that there's much to talk about with him. I know that there's been rumors of Indy, uh, mostly Indy ownership possibly being unhappy with him and wanting a change there. But I know that that guy came back and sort of like, backtracked on those comments a little bit. But I think when you look at last year and how he didn't really get a whole lot of time in the offseason with the team, and they started right out of the gate with that brutal schedule, I don't know. I think, and then some of the injuries throughout the season, just the combination of events, um, I think he's their best option for next year. And I think they know that, and they're going to give him one more shot. Obviously, he's got the connection with Frank Reich. He did have, honestly, a really good season. Statistically, he was smart with the football. He put up the production. It just they just didn't get the wins when they needed them, and I think they'll be better suited to make that run this year, especially if they shore up some of the issues on the defense. The secondary was a problem for him last year, um, and so I don't know. I don't see him getting traded, but what do you think there, man?
He's not going anywhere. Right? Like they're not going to move. They're not going to trade him because who are they going to have to replace him? The free agent class. There's the the demand far outweighs the supply of the free agent quarterbacks this year. The draft class, they don't have a first round pick anyways. They would have to attach to upgrade
That's
at
true.
quarterback. They would
Yeah,
have to attach a first round pick to it, and they already
yeah,
gave up their first round pick to get Wentz. It was conditional, but still, um, it was a conditional pick, but it still is their first round pick this year.
yeah. Yeah, and I was almost going to say, Green Bay was in that discussion last year, but I mean, not Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, but without a pick, it doesn't matter,
Hmm.
and so I don't know. And then, these other teams, I think, some of these other teams that might be looking for help here, they're SOL, dude. I just, I think it's a weak quarterback class in the draft. And then, we kind of just broke down the options on these guys, man. I mean, it, it, it thins out pretty quick on what the options really are when you try to break it down. So, but, tell me what else did you have in your notes? Any other players or teams that you wanted to hit on?
Mm, I think a lot of them, the teams, their quarterback of the future is going to be from the draft. Like I mean, Lions, they're not moving on from Goff. They'll draft somebody, and Goff will be the bridge. It's just
Looking for a developmental guy.
yeah, it's like a lot of these teams are going to look for a developmental guy.
Well, all right, so here's one that I guess we didn't really talk about, but what do you think the odds are that Pittsburgh makes a move for Russell Wilson?
Negative 5,000.
Okay.
There's no way in hell.
I mean, that would be a power move.
It would be, but Pittsburgh doesn't make those big splash trades like that.
I know,
Like I
but
think
isn't
there's still,
Kevin Colbert out after this year?
but they're still giving their first round picks to Miami because of that.
Oh, okay. The Minka Fitzpatrick stuff.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, yeah. Hey, I don't know. I thought I'd squeeze it in there at the end here, but that's fine. So let me segue it over to the question of the week, James. Sticking to the quarterback carousel thing. What is the one quarterback trade that you want to see? Is it Aaron Rodgers to Denver? Is it something else? What's the one that you want? Not looking at cap restraints or anything like that. And I mean, just like what do you want Rodgers to go to Detroit? I mean, that's crazy, but like I mean, make it a little bit real, but what's the one that you want to happen?
All right, I'm gonna
And I guess while you're thinking, I'll say I
ask
would.
it differently than what I thought you were, so that's what
Oh,
threw me.
oh, gotcha. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to throw you for a loop there, but I didn't give you a lot of lead time. Um, I would love to see Russ in Tennessee, and when I kind of had that wild idea there, I thought, man, that would be dominant. But now that we talked about Tannehill in that camp situation, it's not going to happen. I would say, Rodgers in Denver definitely excites me.
Yeah, I think that has. I like ultimately. Okay, I'm gonna answer the question that I thought you were gonna ask first because
Sure, sure.
this is what I had been working on as I was talking. I thought you were gonna ask what quarterback move do I think is most likely to happen,
Okay.
and that is Derek Carr to Washington, and for picks. You
I
give
could get on that. I could get on that.
like the 2022, say give them their first round pick this year, which is I think number 11, and then a conditional 2023 pick.
Okay.
Let's say like a third rounder, third rounder that could become a first rounder if certain things are happen. If certain things happen, it could become a second round pick. If certain other things happen, it could be a first round pick. Because I think Derek Carr could be somebody's quarterback, franchise quarterback. I don't think the
Yeah.
Raiders sold on him.
Yeah.
Um, like I say part of it to make it a first round, like take the third round pick to a first round pick in 2023 is Derek Carr has to sign an extension with them.
I gotcha. I like that idea. All right. So yeah, then I guess answer it the other way. What's the one that you want to see happen?
The one I want to see happen, I agree with you, is the Rodgers to Denver. First of all, get him the fuck out of the out of the division. Like
Yeah. He
seriously,
he he can handle the cold weather, so that's not an issue. It sounds
seriously.
like he's got some personal ties there now.
And
They have
plus
they have the
Denver,
weapons, they have the defense. It's there's a lot of appealing, and that's a place with the way that they've stacked running backs now that if you're worried about him falling off the cliff in the next couple of years, it's like the perfect transition because they've got the defense and they've got the running game where you can ease his workload when you think it's appropriate and keep him conserved for the playoffs potentially over the next however many years. But
yeah, but think about that division. Say no other move. Say Denver only gets is the only one that changes quarterbacks in that division. You have
oh
fucking
man,
Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, up and coming Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr.
yeah,
Which I think Derek Carr is an excellent quarterback. I just don't think the Raiders are sold on him.
yeah,
Take Derek Carr out of the mix, you still have three fucking excellent quarterbacks.
yeah. That's a phenomenal division right there.
You have three super serious, legitimate Super Bowl contenders. LA
Yeah,
made if the Chargers made the playoffs this year, they would have been a contender in the AFC. The Chiefs are perennial contenders. The Broncos are a quarterback away from being a contender. I mean, as it is, the Raiders are kind of that intermediate inter that they're kind of between the are we a Super Bowl contender or are we rebuilding? Are we retooling? Like, what the fuck are we doing?
yeah.
But like that division would be crazy.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. There'd be a ton of hype with that, man. That'd be pretty cool to see. Okay, so that's all I got for tonight. You have any closing thoughts, James?
No, I think that was it.
Okay. Well, so for anybody who's still watching, we hope you liked the show. If you did, hit us up with that like or the thumbs up, whatever platform you're on. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate the support. And James, like always, man, it was a good time. I'll catch you later, man.
That sounds good. Have a good night.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut, hut, hike.